Okay, we are still on day 2 of Improve Your Chess in 7 days. And the book is really a treasure trove of ideas that you should read from the author, because he really gives you a lot of little facets of chess. In this case, he says, who are you playing? No? Who are you playing? The idea is that you must play the man, no, and know who is your opponent. In this case, I want to present you a game which is played by Mr. Lane, the author, Gary Lane, of this book, when he played John Noon in 1980. Okay, he was white and Noon was black, so he started to play e4, c5, and here he says, at this time John Noon was well known for his analytical writings on the complex open Sicilian. What is the open Sicilian? Is the one you play with knight f3. So would it make sense to challenge Noon in the open Sicilian? Probably not. Now, it doesn't mean that he wasn't prepared for other Sicilians, but for logic, you don't want to really test a guy that is a grandmaster, and at the time, Lane, he wasn't. Okay? So he says, so I opted for the solid close Sicilian, knight c3. As I was a teenager and he a grandmaster, I consider it his job to go for the win and mine merely to get out of the opening in one play, in one piece. So as you can see, he also doesn't want to win, he just says, hey, let's play it safe and let's see what happens, right? e6, g3 and d5. Black strikes at the center at the earliest opportunity in order to cross white's usual plan of a kingside fianchetto, castling and gradual preparation for an attack. E takes d5, e takes d5. Then we have, obviously, now try to pause the video and think what you would play, because you know, also if sometimes some of the stuff is kind of basic, it still is important to work it out. I tell you, in the beginning of a game you need to fight for the center. You don't fight for the center, you're going to pay. Okay, so what does Lane do? Lane at this point fight for the center, opening another line for his bishop, and he does it with d4. d4, it's a very interesting, beautiful move in a sense. And you say, but okay, we are just at move 5, right? Yes, we are at move 5, but as you can see, look at this. Open the lines, he has another diagonal for his bishop, he is ready to bring everything out. So, in my opinion, already now, his opening is a success. C takes d4 and queen takes d4. As it happens, I was happy to exchange pawns in the center because already the position is clear enough for me to sidestep any tricks and traps in the opening. On the other hand, black now has to find a way to generate activity, otherwise I will have a ready-made plan of piling up on the weak, isolated d-pawn. And again, guys, as you can see, it's not enough to study the opening, but you need to know the pawn structure in which you want it to end. And I think more than memorizing moves, Lane had the idea of ending up to play against an isolated queen pawn that we have seen in the writings of Grandmaster Soltis on pawn structures, right? So as you can see, it's more important to study pawn structures, because now also if you don't know the opening moves, the theory, you know what you will have to do. So black continued with knight f6, bishop g5. As you can see, the idea here is a possibility of piling up with castling on that side. Bishop e7, bishop b5 check. So he opened this diagonal, but he's not using it. He just goes on the other way. Knight c6. Look how beautiful is the situation here. It's kind of interesting, right? Because his queen is attacked, but this is pinned. So how would you continue here if you were white? Because here you can start to take some decisions. And the move that Lane played was bishop takes f6. Bishop takes f6. Obviously this bishop takes f6 is not written that it's an amazing move, but I find the idea kind of interesting. Watch this. Queen c5. And here let's read this thing, because it's kind of interesting. When I played this queen move, I could see from Noon's expression he was not impressed, because he knew I was happy to head for an equal endgame. But black doesn't want an equal endgame, nor does he want a draw. Being the tournament favorite, he feels obliged to win in order to make sure of fourth prize. However, this is a hard task in the present position, and he will have to take risks to unbalance the game. Okay, and here he says, just for the record, Noon's displeasure was aroused also because he recognized the position as one reached in the Gorin's Gambit decline, a pet line of mine which normally occurs after, and here he gives the line. And I think I will show it to you, because as you can see, you must have a flexible mind, and Gary Lane had a flexible mind, and is greatly a great teacher to take this wisdom from, right? So let me bring the pieces back and see this line, right? Because I think it will teach us to not think in, oh, I must memorize all these moves and I space repetition them. No, no, no. As you can see, Lane had a plan before memorizing stuff. So the Gorin Gambit is e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, e takes d4, c3, d5, e takes d5, queen takes d5, c takes d4. So already now you understand this is a reverse position. Bishop g4, bishop e2, bishop b4, knight c3. Yeah, it's a reverse position. Bishop takes f3, bishop takes f3, and now queen c4. Wow, very interesting. A total reverse position. Well, as you can see, we can learn a lot. That's kind of interesting. Yeah. Okay, let's return back. Let me put the position back as it was. Okay, so this was the position in which the author said this is a reverse position of a Gorin Gambit, and black continue with bishop takes c3 check, and now you need to decide how to continue. Now keep in mind, I didn't tell you one thing, but when I saw the move Queen c5, that he played this, I immediately spotted an idea that we should have learned watching Murphy's game, watching Kasparov game. Generally every top player pass through this kind of games. What is the idea? The idea is that this queen is cutting off the castling and keeping the enemy king in the center, because the rule is that castling is a king move, not a rook move. So the king must go on squares that are safe. In this case he can't, because the square f8 is controlled by the queen c5. So keeping the king in the center means that you will attack that king. So when he plays this, you automatically know that he's not gonna play queen takes c3, because that would allow him to castle, will allow the enemy to castle. He will play b take c3. Okay. And here of course he gives a line explaining why, but I don't care honestly. I just tell you that that is the logic, and that's it. But however, obviously then there is the other problem. Queen e7 is real and queen takes e7 is obviously answered by not this because you're pin, but it's only this. And once more, what do you have? The king in the center. That is what you want. Now, is this kind of material enough for white to do something? I don't know, honestly. I don't know, but let's find out in the game. So white continue with castle, and as you can see this castling makes very much sense. And you say why? Because look, this pawn structure is very bad, but this is a kind of endgame, because yes, there are the rooks, maybe we'll exchange the rooks, but the problem is if you exchange all the pieces, oh my god, white has lost probably, because he will go here and this will all fall. So it makes much sense that he played this, because it brings the king near a side that is very weak, while bringing the rook into the game, into files that he wants to exploit. And here it says, further simplification has seriously reduced any attacking prospects for my opponent. True, I have to keep a constant watch on the double c pawns. Yeah. But black also has a weakness, the Isolani on d5. Bishop e6, knight e2, and king d6. The king takes up residence on d6, where it provides protection to the d5 pawn. However, Noon is not satisfied with mere defense and intends to use the king for more active operations. So, what would you do if you were white in this position? Again, I ask you from time to time these silly questions because the move here is not a shiny tactic that you think you learn from the tactic trainer. Is what you actually have to play in a simple game, which is to centralize the rook. Rook h e1. King c5, like I told you, the king tries to go there because this is a kill. If you exchange all the pieces and you must, or not all the pieces, maybe you just keep one, like a knight, and the knight can create havoc, but your white is obliged to defend here, it's a mess, right? Why to defend here? Because otherwise after black has a pass pawn but go, and again you have to stop it, you have to use a piece or something to stop it, it's a problem. So after king c5, white plays c4, and after d takes c4, what do you think white played? White obviously played bishop takes c6. And here the author writes, if he would have taken with a king, he would have played queen knight d4, and after which exchange the pieces, and it becomes a draw. As you can see, black wants to win, so it plays b takes c6. But this try to win at all cost, unfortunately, in chess can be kind of a problem. Knight f4, bishop g4, and what would you play if you were white? Why do I ask you that? Because once more I want to instill in you the grandmaster mindset. The grandmaster mindset is that when you are attacked, you don't generally defend, but you attack more. Okay? And guess what? He played rook e5. So here Nan tries to obviously win at all cost, but he goes astray because, like I told you, yeah, it's an endgame, but there are the rooks into the game, and when the rooks are there, they can become very, very dangerous. So he played king b4 because he wants to go here probably, but it's not a good idea. And here in fact he says, in trying too hard to win, black goes astray. Nun later revealed that his idea was to place the king on c3 in order to create his own checkmating threats, but all this smacks of frustration, loss of patience, and an unjustified refusal to accept the draw. If I may, I can tell you that I believe this was the problem in the fourth match played between Karpov and Kasparov. Kasparov was trying to attack at all cost, and every time he would lose because Karpov was very solid. When he stopped trying to attack at all cost and win, automatically things came out because there were some problems also in Karpov. So this is as you can see, chess is not only learning the move, learning the strategy, but is also watching inside yourself, who you are, right? Okay, so what do you think white played at this point? He played rook d4, and now I don't know if you see the thing is becoming really, really dangerous for white. Okay, so he played bishop e6, and now there is a beautiful move by white, because obviously you want to cut that king off. How do you do that? So try to pause the video and see what you would play for white. White played e3. Here it says, though the black king is in a perilous situation, a dangerous situation anyway, this pawn nudge clinches matter. The combination works because all my pieces are cooperating, whereas the lone black king has no support. Now, please notice we are at move 21. We are at move 21, and these two rooks are nowhere to be seen. So, does black really have them? If you don't use them, that's the point, right? Move 21 and these are out of the game, it's kind of scary. And to think that John Nun is a grandmaster and clearly he was a top player, imagine that. As you can see, also at top level, they still make the same mistakes we do. King takes a3. Knight takes e6, And here there is a mating net. That's why if he played this, there is rook takes c4, and that guy probably is killed, but I urge you to buy the book so you can see the variations that the author played or put in the book. After king b4, obviously he played this and the game was over. And here he said, so in my first ever game against a grandmaster, my safety first strategy worked wonders. And many years later, I had the opportunity to pull the same stunt again. Okay, so this game was from 1980, and then there is a game from 1992, and the victim is Bologan. And Bologan is a great grandmaster. He's really a good grandmaster that has written a lot, and a great chess player, coach, right? So when you have time, give a look to this book, because in 7 days he promised to improve your chess. Well, I don't know if it will happen, because obviously we are all different, but definitely the lessons he gives in this book are worth reading. Thank you very much for watching.